Right. Perfect. Better than last week.
Yeah.
Hey, I've got a restless dog here. Let me make sure she's out of the room. So I've got a meeting. Go ahead. Go. Hey. I've got an agenda. It's ready to go. It's the same old, same old. Last week we didn't really run through it, but since it's ready, I might as well. How you been, man?
Good. Good. Been trying to learn these AI agents. I tell you, I wish I knew more.
Yeah,
I keep reading and reading, man, and I think I'm starting to forget I've been read so much. But
Yeah, I think there's a lot of stuff going on right now in the entire space. And it's happening fast and moving very quickly. So, you know, there's something new every week, it feels like, and there's different ways to use them. And yeah, it's progressing in an interesting way. But I'd be happy to, you know, connect with you, help answer questions or whatever. We can talk about it today because I feel like, I put together the policy update, and that's totally up for debate with you guys. This is not a monetary thing. It's more of a, hey, let's think about strategically how we want to position ourselves moving forward. And I know last week we had Zarmian up, who was giving some solid feedback on kind of like this type of thing and how we fit into the just broader blockchain ecosystem. Um, so I think it's worth having these discussions, and if you guys pass something, it's helpful. If not, no big deal. We'll try to, no matter what, we need to like have some type of strategic positioning, in my opinion. And why not kind of lean into the current trends, and if we've got the capabilities to do so.
I, I do agree with that. I was liking what I was reading. The only question I really had was, so where does at the bottom of it, it says the 40%, 40% and 20%. What funds were those coming from?
Those would be just like, it's really to guide you guys in your decision making. So there's that's 100% of the capital that you guys have set aside to deploy, right?
Okay. Yeah.
So whatever's left in the budget to deploy, it would be, you know, this is just kind of like a guideline for how to spend. And does it fit when you have people coming and submitting, proposals? Does what they are proposing fit into this like budget structure? So it's just like, hey, is this like a core infrastructure for what we're building? Yes or no? And then, is it um, a high utility application? Yes, no. Um, is this just experiments and community initiatives? Because I think there's room for spending in experiments and community initiatives, as long as in my mind, as long as they're, you know, providing value back to the ecosystem.
Yeah.
And I think that that's like where we've got some challenges is like, are the things that we're currently spending on, um, providing the value that um, that we're looking for, or are we just spending to spend, right?
Right, right. Okay.
So at any rate, I think it's just like a guiding principle for how we look at spending, and at the end of the day, it's all to be kind of wrapped around the KPIs, in my opinion. So if the ask is in one of those buckets, right? Will will it deliver on these key performance indicators, right? Number of active developers and builders in the ecosystem, number of AI native applications deployed on Voy, um, transaction volume driven by AI agents or automated systems, number of grants awarded aligned with strategic narratives, time to deploy for um, new applications. So this is like a speed metric of like how quickly can can these applications be deployed. Um, growth in the ecosystem tooling and retention rate for funded projects. So like how many of these projects stuck around, um, and then ultimately like is there a increase in real usage? So like non-speculative transactions is what I've got written there. So if it doesn't like reach any of these KPIs, like if it doesn't tick any of those boxes, we shouldn't be funding it.
Yeah. Okay.
And if there isn't any expected impact on the ecosystem that is listed in this, then we shouldn't be funding it. So essentially, what this whole thing is like it's kind of twofold. It's like it's a how do we want to market ourselves going forward? There needs to be like some concrete narrative change. Um, and the things that I thought of were, Voy is a really great proving ground place for small teams or individual developers to ship, real products fast, and it's one of the best chains for low cost AI native transactions. So those are two guiding principles of like how do we want to market this thing moving forward? All right, we're gonna in all of our communications, we're gonna focus on um, those two narratives, and then based on that, there's some guiding principles on how we go about funding and getting the most out of how we're spending um, funds, right? So
Yep.
it's like, all right, the things that we want to to see happen are more ecosystem program development. So AI focused builder grants, rapid deployment in hackathon style events. So, just like how do we take, and I don't know exactly if the hackathon got passed or didn't get passed, but how do we take, the grant funding that we already have and just repackage it in a way that is marketable so that there's like constant interest being looked at the grant program. Okay. So yeah, it might not be like one big hackathon. Maybe it's just like an ongoing hackathon, but we call it a hackathon to like, hey, there's grant, funding available. But in order for you to like access that, you must be, you know, building certain types of tooling in order for us to, consider it worthy. Right. So yeah. Um, does that all kind of like make sense or
It does. It does make sense. So it's pretty much putting giving us our narrative pretty much just
the
and
narrative
giving us
and then
the
kind of
basic
like I
guidelines.
think to guiding principles on like, okay, we're not just gonna, spend money on anything, but they need to fall into these kind of buckets, if you will, of like how, and they must, um, they must reach or try to accomplish these key performance indicators that we're looking for, you know, the ones that
Yeah,
and the expected impact. So it's like those two buckets there of questioning around the policy proposals, like, hey, what are the KPIs and what is the expected impact and outcomes? Like, I feel like, we haven't when we go through and do evaluations and you know decide and go vote and everything. Something that I always try to do is look at the expected outcome, right? So, and then work my way back and say, hey, is this proposal going to um, create the outcomes that I'm looking for or that we're looking for as an ecosystem? And if the answer to that is no, or it's like too confusing for it to be a yes, then vote it down, right?
yep,
Um, and so I'm one of those people that's really driven around like outcomes and performance indicators, right?
yep,
So those are kind of the guiding principles that I wanted to include in this, and you know, we don't talk about it enough, I don't think. What are the outcomes we want, right? Well, we want the price of Void to go higher. Okay, well, how do we get there? And what else do we want, right? What are
right.
the other outcomes? How do you get the price to go higher? Well, you need X amount of transactions, you need X amount of applications, you need X amount of you know value that's being um, moved on chain.
Yeah,
And
real utility.
yeah, exactly. And so that's like, uh, you know, how we should be making our decisions is like, okay, well, just spending money on, tweeting random things out that don't drive outcomes, that's not a good use of budget, in my opinion. And I'm
Yeah,
sure everybody can agree to that. It's just like a placeholder, you know.
right.
Uh, it's not actually driving any outcomes, right?
Yep,
So, I think that that's where we need to start is like, okay, what are the outcomes that we want to see? And this is just this proposal is really to start that conversation.
gotcha. Yeah, I like that. I like what I read there. Everything was looking pretty good. And in my opinion, I feel like it's a good proposal. I think
Yeah, and
I
I
think
think there is room for improvement on it. Um, I've put thought into this, and then also there's like an argument to be had as well that like, oh, well, you know, isn't this what Algorand's trying to do? And isn't this what, Near is trying to do and Sui and all these other, you know, blockchains that are also leaning into the agent trend. And then like there's an argument to be had that, we're in a kind of like an AI bubble, if you will. And like this is just following those trends. And my thought is like, okay, um, if this isn't just like a passing fad, and the tools are really there, it really can make a significant income or impact and drive the outcomes that we're looking for. And then, on the other side of the equation, it's like we have to do something. We have to try something. We can't give up
Yeah.
at this point. Like, there,
Security.
yeah,
That's where that's the I think we need to lean more towards the security part of the AI if we can get into that a little bit because it does open up a whole realm of security issues I believe with the AI that
mhm.
no, nobody's thinking about right now.
Yeah, no, it's true. And I've seen some interesting, you know, um, projects where people are building essentially like security audit types of applications that use AI to audit apps and stuff. So um, I think it's moving really really quickly too, and we might as well try to capitalize on the current narratives, and not to mention that there's definitely increasing number of these agents out there that are doing things,
Yeah,
and they're getting better.
yeah,
So
and there's so many. I mean, I don't even know where to even start with that because I just keep everything I read that there's three or four more things you can go to. So holy cow, it's mind blowing.
yeah, it really is. And the work that Shelley's done so far has been like extremely important, and helpful and useful for the ecosystem.
Yeah,
The
it keeps
NPV that
popping
he's
up for me. Yeah, for
Yeah,
Shelley's work. Yeah,
it's been a game changer, if you will, especially in like just understanding what's going on the chain, you know, and
yeah,
especially for us on the DorkFi side of things, it's like, hey, we gotta, need to monitor stuff, um, and it makes it easier for us to monitor, and then also like it makes it easier for us to answer, some questions. Um, and do a whole bunch of other things, not to mention the applications that you can build with it too. So I think like, you know, this it makes sense to me. It's there's skeptics out there that may not necessarily feel that this is a strong direction. Um, but I think it's a stronger direction than, what we're currently working with, which is the community chain that is owned by us, run by us, secured by us. Um, and I think that you, there's a couple of holes in that narrative, which is there's not a whole lot of retail investors that care enough anymore about decentralized blockchain communities. So I feel like there's a smaller pot of people that actually are going and doing things on chain than there were a year or two or three, probably about 3 years ago. And so what there is more of is agents now interacting and engaging with chains. So we might as well kind of lean into that a little bit,
yeah,
try to get some market share.
yep. I'm on board.
And I don't what I don't think that's going to happen is like overnight this will turn the price of Voy around like significantly. I don't think that will happen. Um, what I do think will happen is that you know there's opportunities for people and agents to come in and build stuff, and those things may be useful for people or they might be useful for agents. And this is a low cost way for people to go and experiment and build stuff. And we might end up with a really, you know, interesting use case. So I don't know. That's just my thoughts.
Yep, it seems to be the way it's going for us. I mean, like,
Totally. And then, I know we've heard Taco, talking a lot about excuse me, talking a lot about, getting fundraising and doing all that stuff. I think you know, without a strong narrative, is hard to do fundraising for like a layer one that's trying to be everything for everyone for
yep,
communities, you know. So,
yeah, need to narrow it down a little.
hmm that's what I think. So,
Can't do
anyways,
everything.
I don't know if anybody in the audience wants to chime in on this conversation at all. Probably not. Feel free to join if you'd like. Um, if not, we'll run through just like a few updates here, and then if not, a lot of other people want to come up and speak. We'll call it a little bit early, but yeah, just to kind of go over some of the updates. Aramid update. I don't really have anything from them except I've got $100 stuck in in Aramid. I've got an open ticket with them, and Daniel reached out to me uh, to set up a meeting. So we'll see how that goes. But I think I'm going to be meeting with him tomorrow at some point. I haven't dialed in a time. So yeah, it should be interesting. I'll get a fresh update there. I know Voy Wallet, we had talked with Zarmian last week. He hadn't made any big significant updates on Voy Wallet in a while. He's been focused on AVM Studio and House of Voy, and so yeah, I think um, there's not a lot to kind of go over there. AVM Studio, yeah, I'm not sure if there's been like a ton of new updates, but it sounded like he was working on a few things. House of Voy, were you in the builders meeting this morning, Nuss? Or I don't know if you've heard from.
No, I missed it. That time change keeps messing me up. I can't. Don't know why I can't remember. Everything
It's
changed.
all good. It's all good. And if I'm not mistaken, you're in Arizona? So you guys don't do the time
Yeah.
change, do you?
Yep. No time change.
Yeah, that lucky.
So
That is lucky.
yeah,
Always hate this time change BS.
it still
Um,
messes that up.
oh, totally. Especially if you're, working with people outside of the time zone change and everything. Oh, it looks like Fury says it was canceled as no one joined. Okay, that's not a good sign. Anyway, yeah, House of Voy update. We don't know. Haven't heard from them in a little bit. So not sure what's going on there. Dorkfy update. We can provide, some updates. I think the fun thing that I worked on yesterday was the Dorkfy intern. So need to chat with the guys a little bit more about the best use cases for the Dorkfy intern. But if you type in hey intern on the Dorkfy Discord and you ask it a question about your deposits or your collateral factor or your um, health factor, it will give you some answers on both the voice side and um, on the Algorand side as well. So feel free to go in and test it out in us if you want to see what's going on there. Um, it's definitely interesting. Let's see if it's still going. Should be. But anyways, there was also a handful of other updates that we had pushed out as well over the last week or so, and some of it was new commits and display updates. The latest one from yesterday was there was some deposit and borrow caps that are enforced. We've reached the point where we're capping the amount of deposits and borrows on Voy in particular. Um, so if there's people that want to repay loans or get in there and um, have some more flexibility, there'll need to be repayment of some of the loans on the Voy accounts, and part of this is a move for us to ensure our ability to maintain that market. So if you have issues with depositing, I believe there's now there's been an update that displays that there are caps on the deposits. Previously, it would just throw up an error. Uh, so at this stage, um, yeah, we've capped the borrow amount, and we're also looking at additional um, updates to the collateral factors for all the B markets. We've got a meeting after this meeting to review, what we want to do in terms of collateral factors. So that may have an impact on some folks borrow um, amounts that they may have borrowed against their B market assets. So we're actually just going in and looking at how we want to um, readjust those markets themselves for more security measures for us. So there'll be some more information about that as we roll them out, but definitely want to put it on your guys' radar for now, or anybody else who might be watching this on their radar as well. So, what else? Did I miss anything, guys? There was also last week an update to the user experience. We had some recommendations from our users that they were having trouble finding the withdraw button. So we went in and made some UX changes and really elevated the withdraw button there. So there's now a big on the portfolio health page. There's a big withdraw button front and center on the health factor card, and within that there's a little drop down as well that you can select different assets from. So if wanted to withdraw something and move your assets around, you have a really easy way to do it in a single modal rather than going market to market and needing to kind of withdraw on that front. So we listened and made that update for everyone. Let me think what else was updated on that front. There's like a couple of other things that we've got on our to do for that, but there's also the ability on the markets page, the ability to toggle in between A markets and B markets a little bit easier. You could do it before, but it's now kind of front and center at this point. So, all right, I think that's it for the Dorkfy updates, unless somebody wants to jump up and talk about something else. Um, did you guys, moving on to the open discussion in the agenda, did you guys end up voting on the hackathon?
Yeah, I believe it passed. I mean, we got. I'm pretty sure it was Yayo was a no, and I'm pretty sure Roof said yes, but I don't think his vote is in there. Just he said it verbally. It's a pass just for the framework. So
Mm-hmm.
I believe that is a go.
Okay, that sounds good. Something to market. Um, Sweet.
Uh,
So
there
then
was
we've
another.
oh, go ahead.
There was another proposal in for the wallet with the X402 integration in there, and it's kind of like it's still in community review right now. I haven't put it up for a vote, so
Yeah, I need to
no.
leave some feedback on it as well. I read through yeah, I read through uh, the proposal in brief, and then I read, Shelley's comments on it as well. And it's funny because I think that came through maybe like a day after Shelley had already put out a X402 integration.
Yep.
So
So
there's at least one there, and then I think if I'm not mistaken, this is like a wallet um, that Chris Nugget Nugget Chris was working on and wanted to get some funding for. It's like a kind of like an AI agent wallet. So I can't remember exactly what the ask was for it, but it may be based on the the comments that Shelley had made too. There, it might be a little bit premature, in terms of the development of the application and or the wallet and what they're asking for. It sounded like it was, you know, for a little bit more mature of a development. So that let me go through and provide some comments on my end as well. Um, but yeah, that's definitely an interesting one. And I know that we do have the X402 stuff that's out there. It's up. It's going.
yep.
Yeah, I'm curious as to kind of how we're doing on social media front. Where are we at? What are our performance metrics for the socials?
Yeah, probably not good. I haven't been getting very much coming up on my algorithm.
Yeah,
Hopefully, yeah, it's been kind of a little quiet.
see, I haven't seen anything. Just under 1,000 impressions. Okay. If we lean into this AI narrative, we're gonna have to set up an agent that runs out and promotes on Book. So that
Maltbus.
could be yeah, it's like Facebook for agents, but only agents can um, can work in it.
Yeah, I was looking into that, how to attract them, and I found some interesting stuff out. I got it written down on my notepad. I don't have with me right at the moment, but it is
Yeah,
pretty interesting. It's very interesting.
and that would be like one of those things that we would need to probably pay some voy or put some bounties out for. It's like, okay, create a Book agent. But anyways, I see Fury, no date finalized yet for the hackathon. It might just need to be one of those things that's just like an ongoing hackathon, right? Just just get it out there and just like there is no ending. We evaluate on a monthly basis the participation of it.
Yep. Kind of like what we got going already, but just put out there, come to
Cool.
market.
Well, I think, we talked a lot about my proposal, the policy proposal, and would love to, hear more, you know, feedback from the broader community and especially the council as well. So I'll be joining the council meeting on Monday, and we can roll through, and I can answer questions or field feedback and make adjustments, because I do think that this is like a first draft for me, and there's room for improvement across the board. So I'd love to hear some more feedback on it, and integrate that feedback, because this is really kind of like it's for everyone. It's not just for one project or one group of projects. This is like, hey, this is going to change the narrative and the way that we're doing things. So cool. Well, hey
What,
guys,
what,
I'm going to let the dog out real quick, and I think we can adjourn this meeting for now. Let me know. Feel free. DMs are open. Feel free to hit me up if you got questions about anything. Sometimes I'm not super fast to respond if I'm in the middle of doing something or working on something, but I usually will. I'll be able to get back to you. So, Nuss, if you need any thoughts on the AI stuff or have any thoughts on it, let me know, and I can I can kind of walk you through some of the stuff that Shelly and I have been working on, and Haruf has been working on. He's been getting his hands dirty with the Clawbot as well, and we can kind of, I can show you some stuff.
yep. I've been seeing what you guys been doing on the GitHub there, and you guys are all over on it right now. So that's good.
Yeah,
That's good to see.
that is.
I'm reading the book right now, the GitHub book. So I'm going through that, just trying to learn everything I can.
Yeah, absolutely, man. That's what it's all about. Just learning, right? I think that that's
Yep.
one of the reasons why I was attracted to Voy and being a part of launching a blockchain was for the educational and learning, um, you know, aspects of doing all this. So
Yep.
anyway,
One
we'll
way.
adjourn this meeting. Thanks, guys.